Good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm good without my headphones.
Okay.
Welcome to Building Better Bathrooms, the very first of what's probably going to be a whole bunch of videos about building better bathrooms. And I'm here with Jane and Samantha, and we're going to hear from them in a little bit. I just want to tell you about the project. Building Better Bathrooms is this book, this amazing full color 157 pages, lots of pages, that is ready for you to use on your next bathroom project. And we're here at Cowbell in the bathroom. And I have my friend Allie with me here as well. So I'm just gonna show you the bathroom. And we're gonna hear from somebody at Cowbell in a little bit. Grant is coming. You think? Yeah, he is. Great. Yeah. So here we go. Let's just get started. My name is Julie Sawchuk. I live in Blythe, and this is kind of one of my home bases, Cowbell. And this is where Building Better Bathrooms started for me about 4 years ago, when I communicated with the Sparlings about this new building and how we could make the bathroom be like a gold star bathroom. And then about 6 months later, I went to Vancouver and I met these two lovely ladies, and everything just got rolling from there. Samantha and I worked on a really big project, and Samantha, do you want to talk about that?
We had actually been on this project at the Ottawa International Airport, which did RHWC Gold. Fantastic. Anyways, while we were going through that project, we realized that there were so many different bathrooms, and then we were getting questions from the architect and the designers and the project team about how to make bathrooms more accessible. So what started out as a simple idea for an accessible bathroom brochure has now turned into a 167-page book, or 167-page brochure, however you want to look at it, with all the details you need in it, and it's really exciting. And then we got Jane in the mix as well when we all came together at the APN conference, and I'll let Julie speak more to that.
Yeah, that was November 2019, and the three of us got back together there and said, okay, we are an amazing team, and we need to do something to help people put all of our brains together. And do you remember we went out for dinner and we all ordered something different for dinner, and then we all ordered something different from dessert, and it kind of represented how we saw the same kind of ideas, but all from a different perspective. And we realized that putting it together was what we needed to do. And Jane, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm in Vancouver, and I'm an architect. I kind of did the drawings in the book, but yeah, it's really cool to, if we were combined into one person, we would be superhuman. I wish I had aspects of Julie and Samantha, but yeah, it's really fun that we managed to make a book over COVID. Holy moly!
And so the fun part of that is we started before COVID too, right? We were Google Meeting before it was the cool thing to do or the necessary thing to do.
Yeah,
and it literally went from a meeting once a month, and then we realized that wasn't enough, so we went every 2 weeks, and we were like, this is still not enough. And so we literally have met once a week for the past year.
Yep.
To make sure we put this thing together. I mean, Julie brings all of the discussion and wonderful lived experiences, and we've got some really fun stories to tell in that area. And then we've got myself that brings a lot of the details and technical knowledge to accessible design. And then, I mean, Jane, she pulls everything together with her beautiful architectural, custom, diagrammatic images that we provide throughout the book. And it's just excited to tie everything together.
The vision that Jane brings to it too is awesome. So speaking of stories, people that are watching, if you could tell us where you're watching from, we'd love to hear from you. And that's one of the things about COVID is we are bringing people from across the country when we wouldn't probably otherwise have done that, right, to launch this. So tell us where you are. And if you have a unique bathroom story that you want to share with us, drop that into the chat as well. And Ali's going to share some of those thoughts with us as they come up. We are going to hear from some of the people who contributed to this book, because it was definitely more than just the three of us. Like, talk about team effort. And of course, I'd be happy to point out that they're all women in honor of International Women's Day yesterday. I want to bring to the table Vicki and Rachel. Say hi, ladies. Vicki was our unstoppable editor. Man, like practically middle of the night. Okay, I've gone through it one more time. Here's the things that I need you to look at.
That's just because I'm super fussy and picky, that's all.
Well, isn't that how you want to have an editor?
I guess so.
And the quick turnarounds. We would get you something and you would literally turn it around in that day. It was unbelievable how fast we were able to make this last round go.
Well, that's great. It was such a pleasure to be involved with, and I learned so much from it. It was remarkable, so I'm thrilled.
So Vicki and I, we've done some traveling together and had some interesting occurrences in bathrooms, specifically a hotel bathroom I'm thinking of. But Vicki, going through this book, I know you edited my first book as well, but going through this book, what was something that you learned in this book that you hadn't realized?
I think what really spoke to me, and I knew this, but when you really articulated it, was how much energy it takes to go to the bathroom when it's not well set up. I mean, I started counting how many times I was going to the bathroom, and I became super aware of all the bathrooms in my world that are not accessible, including bathrooms in my own home, and just thinking, okay, and if this took 5 times the energy every single time you did it, you couldn't do anything else. There would be nothing left. So that really stuck with me. And I will never see bathrooms the same way again.
And Rachel's our graphic designer. She's the one that made this book so absolutely stunning. Like when we first started trying to figure out how we were going to format things, we had one kind of setup and we were just like, oh no, this is so not going to work. And then we found Rachel. And thank goodness we found Rachel, because it is gorgeous. And those of you that work with code books or standards, I'm so excited for you to see this, because it's an actual book that you can actually read. And it's not just a code manual with some black and white drawings with lots of numbers and arrows and all of those kinds of things. So I've got some things that I'm going to show you, like, oh, that's not a very good example. Here we go, right? Color photos of actual bathrooms and diagrams and lots of toilets and lots of urinals, because that's what the book's about, right? But Rachel, this accessibility, I think, from this point of view, was a new experience for you from a content perspective. What is something that jumps out at you?
Kind of a stars align moment for us, I think, because I was very much at a point where I was wanting to shift gears towards working on like more kind of like lengthy projects, which this is. I work on a lot of digital stuff right now, so this is a cool switch up. And I also really want to start focusing on working with amazing teams who are putting good things out into the world. So this was a perfect mixture of both. Amazing team, amazing project. So thank you for letting me be part of it.
Yay, awesome. Ali, are there some comments that you would like to tell us about?
Yeah, there's definitely some comments. So we'll say hi to people right now. Hello to, who do we have? Cynthia in Edmonton. Hello to Warren. He is watching from the Blue Water Bridge in sunny Point Edward. Aloha to Vertical Blonde in Maui.
Yay!
Hi to our friends at Blythe Studio Suites Airbnb in Blythe. Hi to Melissa from Waterloo. Hi to Karen from Exeter. Empowered Paris watching from Edmonton. Steve Dawes watching from Blythe Printing.
Oh, yeah!
I'm so excited about that. Hello from Hugh at the Avon-Maitland District School Board. Hi to Patricia, who's watching from Vancouver. And hi to Leslie, who's watching from Stratford. Patricia's in Belgrave. So we've got people joining us from all over the
This
place.
is so exciting.
Hello, everyone.
So exciting. Oh, Patricia. So Patricia from Vancouver. Hello, 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 because you are the woman that brought us together. She was our teacher when we did the RHFAC certification, and so excited that you are here.
Yay.
Thank you so much. So speaking of contributors and somebody watching from Blythe Printing, I have something super fun to share with you right now. So yes, we are on Amazon, and there we are, #1 bestseller on Amazon. Woohoo! Already, right? #1 in architectural materials and methods. So yes, we are available on Amazon. The resources there ready for you. But because I'm a bit of a shop local kind of girl,
Ken Whitmore here from Blythe Printing. I just want to say thank you to Julie for giving us the opportunity to do this book for her. And here's a little quick clip of us doing some of the production on this book.
ta-da!
So cool.
Isn't that so awesome? Like, who's ever seen a book be made before? Like, unless you're somebody that sits and watches that How Stuff's Made kind of video, like, I've never seen that done. And to see it done and know that we made that happen, it's just like so exciting. Thank you, Ken and Steve at Blythe Printing for doing that. And like, as we speak, they are printing 1,000 copies of this resource for you. So you can go to Building Better Bathrooms and order your printed in Blythe copy, and I will mail it to you. I'm so excited. There's some more people that you'd like to tell us?
We do have some comments from people sharing their bathroom stories.
Oh, awesome.
So Cynthia is sharing that the paper towel holders that you need two hands to pull the paper towel down. That's really difficult. Albert shared the toilet paper holders behind the toilets, and you're unable to access the toilet paper.
Yep.
And so let's say hi to some more people as well. We've got Ren.
Yay, Ren!
Congratulations. Ren's watching from Kitchener. And Angela Horbanek, she's in Surrey, BC.
Yay,
so
Ange!
hello to Ange, and thanks for watching. Also, Albert shares his bathroom story is he was in a hotel bathroom and the door wouldn't close because it hit the bed.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so lots of different stories coming in.
So more stories. When we were writing the book, I had like a million bathroom stories that I could share, right? But we wanted to bring in some more perspectives of different users. I use a mobility device, but there's lots of other different types of disabilities where navigating and using a bathroom is quite challenging. And so we reached out to some of the people that we knew, and Kelly is here, and so is Laura. Kelly, do you want to say hi and tell us a little bathroom story?
Sure. Our son has severe cerebral palsy and has been in the wheelchair since the beginning of time, and now graduated to a power chair. So I remember him being younger and us being in the mall and going to the movie theater, just doing normal family activities that you would do out in the community. And I just remember it hitting me. I looked around and I really wondered, where are the young adults? Where are the disabled older children or adults? And it wasn't until he got older that I knew exactly where they were. They're at home. They're at home because once you need a bathroom, you need to go home. If you require a change table, you need to go home. And God blessed us with a set of twins 2 years after Jackson was born. So essentially I had these two little helpers. And thank goodness, because it allowed us to be a family and to continue to be in the community and have Jackson just experience what every other family would. I'm talking simple things. You go to a bathroom, or you go for a picnic at a park and everyone needs to go to the bathroom. And then you're just like, it's an absolute roadblock. And I know it sounds silly to some. There's also different levels of accessibility. I would call ahead and say, is it accessible? Oh yeah, it's accessible. We have a large stall at the end of our row of stalls. Makes no difference to me, none. So essentially, we became the people that would think, okay, if we wanted to be in the community, that meant a rolled up yoga mat with my little helpers with me all the time. Sometimes they'd have to stand at the door to kind of block off the bathroom so that we had a spot, and I had to create my own change table. So, which was the floor. So I'm not going to lie, I got into the cowbell bathroom and absolutely cried. And I know many other families that made that a destination point, because it is really truly like having the red carpet rolled out for you and saying, you are welcomed, you were thought of. Really come in, and we mean you too. So that's our story, and we couldn't be happier to have met you, Julie, and now at our place of business, we just put in an adult change table there as well that we're so super proud of. And I love what you started, because it just it's a ripple effect. And the fact that I can point people to your book. And in the little town of Glencoe, I literally had a conversation with a dad that his son just became a paraplegic, and they knew you, Julie. So it was awesome. And because of your book, they were able to change their house around and make it happen.
Thank you. So this is one of the stories that we've shared in the book. This is Kelly's story about coming to Cowbell. And that's one of the features of the book, is we've got a lot of different people who have contributed and shared their stories with us. So we're going to talk to Laura next. Laura, do you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Sure. Can you hear me? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, ladies, for having me here today, and for everyone who might be watching right now. My name's Laura McEnroth. I have so many different roles in my life, but to just name a few, I technically right now am the co-chair of the Persons with Disabilities Advisory Committee for the City of Vancouver, although my term is coming to an end fairly soon. But part of that, I go to a lot of consultations. I'm also the liaison to the Seniors Advisory Committee for City Hall. And I just constantly talk about bathrooms, benches and bathrooms, because if you don't have those two things out there in the public, you'll never have true accessibility for people to be able to leave their homes. It's a lot. It's a heavy struggle all the time, but I'm so happy to be part of this book. That's just a little bit about me, and I'm just going to put it out there, but I've also gone back to school, because what else are you supposed to do when you're totally isolated at home in the middle of a pandemic? And I'm just finishing off my graduate certificate in executive coaching from Royal Roads University. And I've started my own business called Blind Ambition Coaching. So if you want to reach out to me for any reason at all, please do so. You can find me at laura@blindambition.ca. Thank you so much.
I love your business name, Laura. That's so awesome. Thank you so much. And for your stories, it really is a unique perspective for me to hear how you deal with bathrooms and man, I can't wait for you guys to read the stories that Laura has shared with us. Thanks for being here, Laura. We have another guest coming all the way from Vancouver. Hello, Brad.
You know,
Hi,
be
Brad.
careful, they could join anytime, and I wasn't being careful. Hi, guys.
So, this is the infamous Brad.
Ooh, surrounded by women. I love this.
Inclusion at the Rick Hansen Foundation. And I mean, I met Brad a couple years ago, and he changed my world in the greatest way, in that I met someone who spoke and understood codes and standards, which is near and dear to my heart, and someone who became my mentor. But I'm going to share a small little story about us, and that's connected to bathrooms. Before, Brad, I ask you about your favorite bathroom story. So anyways, I was traveling to BC, and I thought I'd meet up with Brad to have some dinner. He said, I'll pick the joint and we'll go. And I said, okay, sure. So he picks me up. We show up at this restaurant. We get seated. You know, we're eating, we're having a few drinks, and then all of a sudden, naturally, I have to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, and on my way to the bathroom, I'm like, something's odd about this. I had to go up 2 steps. When I went up the 2 steps and then kept continuing my journey, I came to the beautiful, massive, universal washroom with the international symbol of access on it. And I was like, well, that's funny. You have a fully functioning universal washroom, but you have to go up 2 steps to get to it. So I'm having a panic moment. I reluctantly go to the bathroom, and then I come back. I sit down at the table, and I'm like, Brad, how are you going to go to the bathroom? He's like, I'm not. And I'm like, pardon? He's like, no, I'm not going to go to the bathroom. I'll hold it. And I'm like, sorry, what? Like, we have now probably been in this restaurant for probably 2 to 3 hours, might have closed out the place. But in that time, there was nowhere for Brad to go to the bathroom. So Brad, I ask you this. What's your favorite bathroom story, and what is an essential component of an accessible bathroom?
God, you know, I've said this before. I've 30 years in the business, and 27 of them I spent in bathrooms. So my favorite little story comes from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I was there addressing the Airports Council International Convention, and bathrooms are pretty important. So we made a very special point to make sure that the convention center was well equipped. And they were so proud. They came to me and they said, hey, you know what? In honor of your visit, we put in grab bars. And in honor of your visit, we put in a 36-inch door. We're so proud. And it's aces. You're going to love it. And I made the mistake of just trusting them. Never trust. So I went in, and it was time. And now holding it was no longer an option. And I went to the new accessible bathroom through the new wider door. And yeah, there was beautiful grab bars on there, and the toilet paper was right there. But there was no toilet. There was a hole in the floor with 2 footprints. And they hadn't thought it through that I couldn't get out of the chair to use the hole in the floor. But as far as they were concerned, it was fully accessible because there was no barriers between me and the hole. It's always something, isn't it? It's
I'm like speechless.
You know, and this is why your book is so important. It's full of the little things and the little bridges. It's no good having an accessible bathroom if it's up 2 steps.
And that's the thing that has really become apparent to me, is that we need to bridge this gap between the people that are doing the design and the people that are using, right? And we have this massive gaping hole of information that's just not out there. And so telling the stories and explaining the real whys of, you know, why a grab bar needs to be set up the way we've described it to be set up, the why it really makes a difference. Like the fact that there was no toilet to sit on.
That's always details.
You know what? That's actually not in the book. Like, we missed that. We totally missed that, lady.
Provide the toilet.
Yes, yeah, and you know, when you go into the other parts of the world, when you rent a house or you buy a house, toilets aren't included. You bring your own toilet, which is an interesting concept all by itself. But you know, to get real serious here for a moment, bathroom. Yeah, we've talked about how important they are. You've got anecdotal stories. People have jumped on and said how you've changed their life. It's really important to note If you can't go to the bathroom by yourself, if your mom or your grandpa can't go in and use the bathroom on their own and come out intact, then what's going to happen is they're going to end up in long-term care, because I love you, Mom, but I'm not going to toilet you. I'm not going to wipe your bum. Honestly, I'm just not going to do it. I love you, but that's a bridge too far. So having your book, having this initiative, if you create access to a washroom in somebody's home, what you're really doing is creating access for them to live independently in the community, to stay in the community, be part of it. That thread doesn't break where they're no longer able to, just live like everybody else. So this is so important on so many levels. If COVID taught us anything at all, it taught us that we gotta stop this idea of warehousing our seniors in dark buildings at the end of the street with minimum wage workers looking after them. We have to keep people independent in their homes, and there's nothing more important than being able to go to the bathroom and come out, and it's a complete non-event. That's the goal. Just make it a non-event like everybody else. And so what you guys are doing, it's so important. And the other thing that really it warms my heart is that for decades I felt like a lone voice in the wilderness, just howling out there trying to get someone to understand that bathrooms are so key. And have you guys do this and come together and pull it together so brilliantly, it just makes my heart sore.
Brad, you're gonna make me cry, man.
No, it's just the truth. It's just what's happening, and without you guys taking this effort, without pulling these threads, without drawing people in and making sure they understand the real need here, nothing will happen. You alluded to it earlier. It's that cultural shift. We've known how to do this for decades. It's not how. It's that cultural shift, and what you've done is you put a face to this. Other books talk about grab bars. Other books talk about where the toilet paper goes. You've put a face to this, and that face is everyone. It's your mom, it's your brother, it's your sister, it's your uncle. And so that's no mean feat. Congratulations, guys.
And Brad, thank you so much for bringing that up, because the idea of uncomfortable conversations ended up being like the last thing that I wrote, and it almost didn't get put into the book.
Let's do that.
Because I didn't think of it, because it's such a everyday part of my life that it was actually my husband who said, well, what about all of the stuff that we didn't know before your accident and that we don't talk about? And I was like, oh my God, yeah, we haven't talked about the shit of bathrooms, right? Like the crappy part, no pun intended or pun intended, I don't know, of the conversations that don't happen because it all happens behind a closed door. And as a society, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. So that ended up being the last thing that I wrote, but ended up being the very first part of the book.
Like, why? We are such a funny people. Everybody does it, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Exactly.
And
talk about it. And talking about it, I want to bring Charlene into the conversation. Brad, I know you are working on the conference, getting ready for tomorrow. So thank you so much for taking a few minutes to come and hang out with us in the Cowbell.
I'd rather be hanging out with you guys. I really would. Duty calls on the other side, but I just wanted to be part of this. Congratulations, man. Oh man, this is a step forward. This is so cool.
Thank you so much, Brad.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Gonna check out.
Charlene.
Hello.
Hey, can you tell us your favorite bathroom story?
Oh, you bet. I've got a couple, so it's hard to choose, but thanks for having me on, and congratulations. This is so exciting to have a resource. You've heard me say many times, I think people have honest ignorance that it's just that they don't know, and how would they know until they start to live in the world, and they want to help, and they want to do the right thing, and everybody wants to come up with solutions, but they just want to know, what are we supposed to do? Where do we put this? How does this work? And to have those conversations. So this is huge. And being a Huron County girl, got to know Julie, and
international plowing match.
So that's my first story, Julie. I think I voluntold you to the committee with me.
Yep.
Was very, very lucky to have the 2017 international plowing match in Walton, and have an amazing executive and all the different local committees support having, for the first time ever, an accessibility committee. And so I chaired it with the help of many amazing people around me to go, really? We're having an accessibility committee for a massive event with tens of thousands of people coming in fields. So for anyone that hasn't attended, it literally is a city put up in fields. And we couldn't have done it. It truly took a village to say, my family had been there many times, and one of my children has a rare disorder called KCNQ2, which makes him super cute. And he happens to use a wheelchair and is nonverbal. And I was not going to change him on the ground in the mud for one more field trip or event. And so for that match, the one part being the bathrooms, was we had 4 universal bathrooms in the field, in a tent, with a porta potty, with hospital beds, so that we were trying to think of somebody with any space issues, any sensory issues, or seniors that needed a hand. Well, you're not going to use a porta potty with the door open to have a helper with you. My son's not going to get on the hospital bed and be able to change with dignity. And where do you put the diapers, and where do you put the incontinence supplies? Things that honestly, of course, I never thought of before our little guy. So this contains bathrooms in 4 different areas, because when you got to go, you got to go.
And it's 100 acres.
And 100 acres. And just as I also cried in the cowbell bathroom the first time I went in, I also cried in the field every time I saw a classroom going and using, or seniors, or anyone. That was the other big underlying factor, was that it wasn't just seniors, and it wasn't just kids with disabilities. It was everybody and anybody that were needing to use the universal bathrooms, because they could attend the event.
Exactly.
They weren't stuck at home. They weren't, and your stories rang really true about sticking at home. Because the other part is, and we've come back to it how many other times, if we can do it in a field, we did it in the field.
We can do it in a field. We can do it anywhere.
Anywhere. And the big part, we have 2 other kids, and so we were on the go too. And we were a part of a family, and people are fantastic with coming up with solutions. I would like to not to tell the health committees how many boardroom tables we asked to change our boy on. Wiped down before, wiped down after, and things like that. But I couldn't physically lift him down onto the furnace room floor anymore in a recreation facility. For years, we were able to find solutions. Like another family, they said that as soon as the kids were on the ice, they used the change room, the bench in the change room, and they'd change them. And then the smell will have dissipated. You could run your diaper out to the van and things like that, and you could still get out and watch the game. Or soccer fields, and how many umbrellas to give a little dignity to him while we changed him, because we're a family. We're going to be there, and we're going to be on the go. And the nice part is everybody wanted to help us find a solution. But I think until such a book as yours, Julie, comes out, they honestly need the guidance into how to put a permanent solution together, so that we can independently go out and nobody wants to spend the whole day thinking about the bathroom or planning their bathroom trip. And then I guess the other big part of that was I wanted to have another personal perspective. So I thought I'd be diagnosed with MS. And
just to add it to the pile, right?
Why not? Those fantastic Ontario health cards are great. We are very lucky, but all of a sudden it underlined the, and again, nobody wants to talk about bathrooms, but everybody's okay with talking about it sometimes when it's a baby or things like that. But all of a sudden I'm an independent grown woman, mom, who MS has all of a sudden said, hey, most days you're going to be fine, but some days you have to empty your bladder now, not 5 minutes from now. So where's the bathroom? Oh, and by the way, you probably have to take your son, who happens to use a wheelchair, in with you. So we have to find a space that's safe for both of us, but now. And so I think as we all also realize that COVID's been interesting in that public bathrooms were closed all of a sudden. Julie and I have both been there, where we thankfully knew people and could talk our way into an accessible bathroom in a few places. But sometimes those are discussions that need to be had of where are they and how usable are they. I have my last one. I could talk about bathrooms forever too, Julie, and everybody. But so Cowbell, I was on a field trip with my son, and all of a sudden there was a volunteer that also works at Cowbell that was at the field trip, and it was close by to Cowbell. And all of a sudden she came over to me and said, I totally didn't think that there's no accessible bathroom here, but you know what? I've called ahead and we're going to get the bus to stop at Cowbell so that they can go in and change Jean.
Nice.
So I'm thinking, A, from the plowing match, she would never have known that that was a need, right, on a field trip. B, she would not have understood that Cowbell was one of the only locations that had a full accessible bathroom for our son, that we needed the adult change table, and that was okay to have that conversation, and that it didn't matter that the entire bus was going to stop there, because they knew that dignity was needed, and it was just the bathroom. It was just the bathroom.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm so excited that this resource is here, because I think people want to do, and they want to put these things in place. They just don't know how.
So we're going to look at some of those details in just a minute, but thank you, Charlene. And I'm going to see if Ali has any other hellos or comments that she wants to share with us from our watchers.
Yeah, so Hugh was just explaining that Julie helped critique the bathrooms for the school board that they are upgrading. So he's really enjoying the feedback. Bree's giving us a shout out from Western Maine, and she says that you, Julie, gave the Home Modification Occupational Therapist Alliance an excellent presentation, and many of the people from the presentation now follow you and all of the things that you're doing.
That's awesome.
A couple of other bathroom stories. Michelle was just sharing as a PSW that she spends a lot of time in bathrooms helping people. So this is all really wonderful, what she's hearing and what's happening. And else? Oh, Albert was sharing one of his bathroom stories, that the height of toilets is crucial.
Absolutely.
And we nailed that in this book.
We totally nailed that. Thanks, Charlene. We'll see you later.
Repeat.
Bye.
Yeah.
Jane, I was wondering if you could talk about your drawings a little bit and why we decided to do things a little differently.
Yeah, I first want to just say two seconds of thoughts here. Just that, like, as an architect, I spent my whole career just like doing stuff as per code. And I think that is where we are bridging kind of the stories that explain, like in a building code, even if it's a book that's about accessibility, it's not going to tell these stories that help us understand. The more I get to know people, like when I hear Laura's stories and all of these other stories, of course, like it just makes me aware of like, why are all these things happening in the bathroom? Like it's critical. It's critical, a critical book for anyone that's doing any design work, for public in particular, to actually be thinking about how people actually use these features, not just plopping it in to meet whatever code stuff the inspectors need to see for final occupancy. So yeah, and so with the book, for the drawings for the book, we decided to do the drawings by hand. I drew everything on an iPad. It was the first time ever using an iPad to draw, but crazily enough, it's actually pretty fun to draw on, and it's really easy to kind of like undo. So, and and just having it drawn by hand kind of helped bring it to life and bring a little bit of human personality to diagrams. Like normally diagrams of grab bars and toilet paper rolls is not exactly the most exciting thing to draw, but at least doing it by hand helped us make it more playful. And I guess did we have any other thoughts about why? Just because it looks more interesting.
Yeah, and we're tired of looking at the same code diagrams, really, right? We wanted to see something that made it, like you said, come to life. And there's often a lot of information on those code diagrams with like number ranges and measurements and all of that. And that's why we've separated them out between the diagrams and the tables. And speaking of tables, Samantha.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I've spent the greater part of my career for the last decade, enthralled in code standards, regulations pertaining to the accessible built environment. And when it comes to bathrooms, Jane and Julie are correct in that there's a lot of words on a page and probably a diagram that doesn't even reflect the requirement. So we kind of came together and we really dialed it back to starting with a bathroom design. How can we get the details and the measurements out there? And should we use code-related numbers? Should we use optimal numbers? Anyways, as we went through, we realized that we had to draw a scenario. We had to bring you into the bathroom. Like, where's the bathroom at? What do you need when you enter a bathroom? Then what do you need within the bathroom? And we've broken that all down into very simple tables with 2 columns. There's going to be an optimal column with all of the critical dimensions. Things that we tried to align with building codes because we know you have to be compliant, but also optimal in the fact that we want it to actually be usable and functional for people who need the accessible components in the bathroom. And then we've provided comments, and these are like your best practices, going above and beyond, or allowing yourself to learn more and create a more functional, usable, accessible, and safe bathroom. So we're super excited that we were able to simplify all of this information, not only through storytelling, through lived experiences, through explanations, but through these tables and Jane's beautiful, very simple diagrammatic images.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Working with you guys, like we talked about before, we meeting every week, it just brought calm to my day and my week in terms of knowing that we were on the same page and that we were headed in the right direction to get this information together and to stay organized and have somebody to work with. Because when you work on your own, sometimes you need a little pump up, and we're really good at pumping each other up, which has been super fun. One of the things that I wanted to also point out about the book is that we also provide you with checklists, and we're not just talking about bathrooms, but we also address change rooms and showers. And I tell you, if I have a beef with anything, it's about recreation centers and insert many words about change rooms and showers. And it's not malicious ignorance, it's just ignorance, right? And so really we are trying to give you the tools that you need to make those spaces safe, number one, because they're always wet. And so safety is like paramount. And number 2 is independent, right? Which then you wrap that up into dignity, right? When you have those things, you can be safe, you can be independent, then you can have a dignified experience. Because I don't want to have to go to a recreation center and ask somebody to come along with me because I can't shimmy in and out of my wet bathing suit. It's absolutely impossible if it's not set up correctly. So that's one of the features of the book is about change rooms, and I might share a story about getting out of a wet bathing suit.
Can I just highlight that for a second? So when we were at the change room section of the book and we debated on whether or not that should be part of this book, but it is such an important component, we were just putting all the pieces together. What do you need, kind of thing. And then as we were all reading through it, I realized, I was like, we need to show the intent of why we're asking you to provide all these things. So I went to Julie and I was like, Julie, I need you to get vulnerable here. I need you to take us through like a walkthrough of every little thing and movement you do in a change room and why each of these components fit together. So Julie may or may not get a little undressed in this book, but this goes back to tying in the uncomfortable conversations. There's so many people out there and designers that if we don't know someone else's perspective, how are we supposed to design for them? So we're trying to give you a full holistic perspective of what truly makes an accessible change room or an accessible bathroom accessible and usable for everyone. So I'm pretty excited about that part.
Don't worry, totally PG. I keep my clothes on, honest. I do. So we've gone way over time, but it's just because we have so much to talk about. And like I said, this is not going to be our last video just because it is our first one. Is there any other comments that you want to share with us, Allie?
I'll share a few more. So Albert just shared change rooms at rec centers are definitely an area that needs this lens of inclusion. They need to be safe, accessible, independent, and so that's wonderful. Angela was just sharing a hashtag, we need each other. So happy to you, Julie, that you found a team of people to rally around you on this shared mission to build accessibility. And what else? Patricia is sharing that this is so great. She said, it's simply knowing what to do. Your book looks clear and straightforward.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And we're going to look at the cowbell bathroom since we're here, right? And honestly, I wasn't entirely sure that we were going to be able to do this because, COVID shut things down for a little bit. And, but I'm super excited that we were able to do this here. Thank you, Allie, for being here. And so we are going to, there's 3 particular features in the bathroom that we're going to talk about. And we're going to start, I'm going to have to turn my computer. So let's start with the sink. And hand washing.
I'll step out.
Okay.
So you can
And normally there's not a chair here, and that's just where Allie was sitting. So I'm going to try and balance and be
not to do.
Not crooked. Okay.
With the instruction in front of the thing.
Yeah, that's not normally there. There we go. How's that?
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Yep.
Who's talking hand washing?
I think I'm talking hand washing.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things that only when I took the course a few years ago with Julie and Sam, with Patricia Short, and where I learned that you want to have your hand washing close to soap, paper towel, garbage, because if you're in a wheelchair, when you wash your hands, they're wet. You don't want to have to roll across the room. These kinds of like super ultra basic concepts, it was like a eureka moment. Like, what? Oh yeah, right. And so I think Brad actually made a video about that where it really sank in. So yeah, that's one of the things here for hand washing. And this sink also shows that the pipe, see the white stuff around those pipes, they're actually protected so that if the pipes are hot and you don't have sensation in your legs, you won't hurt yourself. So
yeah, exactly. And if you think this looks familiar when you get the book, that's because this is the sink that we modeled in Jane's drawings. So we're yes, like I said, my favorite bathroom. And then we're going to talk, Kelly mentioned about the adult change table and how, her and Charlene both cried when they came into this bathroom because of the difference that makes for them and their family. So Sam, you were going to talk about that.
Yes. Now, if you're a code junkie like me, you might know that in Ontario, adult universal washrooms now require space for an adult-sized change table, depending on how large the room is. Needless to say, what you want out of an adult-sized change table is you want it to be adjustable in height. So you want it to go low, you want it to go high. You also want it to be able to support quite a bit of weight. having a railing or guard there allows someone to be protected while they're on it, but you also want that to be able to come down so that if someone is receiving assistance or care, that person can provide it without an obstruction in between. So it provides all of those things. Now, it's not to say that it has to be adjustable or it has to be wall mounted. Remember, reinforcing if it's going to be wall mounted, but it can be floor mounted and it can be fixed in place. It's a matter of, again, listening to these stories that we've heard and just ensuring that there's a safe, clean area for someone to get changed accordingly. And it also allows someone who might want to use it independently. And another thing comes to mind, Julie's holding up the controls right now, is mounting the controls in a spot where someone can actually reach them if they wanted to use it independently versus mounting it on the back wall. But these are all things that we capture in the book. And we're excited to get that out there to you so that you can be installing these.
And I may or may not be modeling.
Yeah, and you can see that where they've positioned it in this bathroom, when it's in the fold down position, it's not obstructing anything. It's not covering up the turning circle. It's not in the transfer space. It's making sure that it's usable by the next person who comes in if they leave it in the fold down position, which is a potential possibility. On to the toilet.
On the toilet. So I'm just trying to make this work so that you guys can see the toilet. And yeah, perfect. So here we go, right? Just looks like a regular old toilet, but it's not just a regular old toilet. It's a tall toilet. And when I roll up beside it, you can see that my knees are in the way. The height of the toilet is pretty close to the height of the seat of my wheelchair. And in doing that, it means that there's a lot less energy that I have to consume getting on and off the toilet because I can't stand, right? I can't get out of my chair and onto the toilet. It's an oval seat. It's got a front opening and a backrest. And people don't realize the importance of a backrest until they don't have core strength and need to lean against something. I mean, that's why I have a backrest on my wheelchair, right? Because I need to lean against something, and I need to lean when I sit on the toilet as well. So when there is no backrest, that is what I have to lean against, and that's plumbing. Hard.
Okay.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. And because I don't have sensation, I don't know if I'm injuring myself at the same time. The flush is on the transfer side, so it means that I don't have to like put my face over top of the toilet while I'm hitting the flusher. Gross. 3 grab bars, the L bar, horizontal and vertical components on the wall beside the toilet. The horizontal grab bar a little bit more than 10 centimeters above the plumbing, and then the fold down grab bar as well, which is what is so helpful when you're sitting on the toilet, because I need to lean from side to side to pull my pants up. And if I don't have those both, it really means that I'm leaning against my wheelchair, which is wheels. And even with the brakes on, sometimes it doesn't stay where I need it to stay. The other things that I want to point out are the location of the toilet paper and the waste disposal, both within reach while seated on the toilet. Ladies, how many times have we seen sanitary disposals like on the other side of the stall, or toilet paper above the grab bar so it totally blocks the use of the grab bar? Okay, so right, I could spend a whole hour talking about toilets, but one of the things, obviously it's the most important part of the bathroom itself, and one of the things that we've created for you in addition to the book is our toilet checklist, and you can get that on our website, buildingbetterbathrooms.ca. And in fact, buildingbetterbathrooms.ca is where you can get all of our resources, the book, and the checklist, and all of the videos that are
to come.
Inevitable, right? Totally inevitable. So I guess this is where I say over to you, audience, because we have done step number 1. We have told you the stories and put the information together that you need to do the work going ahead. And that work going ahead is to actually build better bathrooms. And we can't be everywhere. As much as we would love to be everywhere, we can't be everywhere. So we need you to pick up the torch and carry it with you. It's a nice bright color. You're never going to lose it. It's not going to get lost on your bookshelf or in the cab of your work truck. You're always going to know where to find it. And it's going to give you the answers that you need. So pick it up and carry it forward to all of your projects, because that is what we need to build better bathrooms.
We're so excited.
I think we're done.
I have to say, I've already used the book as a resource in my projects, like even in a draft form. It was so useful having all of the stuff like just there, and like there's a diagram. It was so easy to just like, okay, my accessible toilet, like I followed my own book. So
and I did the same thing. In fact, as we were designing the book, we were still working through some of the numbers. Remember, and I went to the Rutledge property at the north end of town here, and they were putting up the grab bars in the accessible shower, and I had my laptop sitting in the bathroom, and Erin and I were going through, where does the shower wand go and where should the grab bars go in relation to the shower wand? And I pulled up the numbers and I was like, okay, well, we've decided that it should go there. And then I was like, wait a second, that's not going to work ideally. And so then next week when we came back to our meeting, I was like, ladies, this is what happened on the weekend. And they're like, oh, right. So I guess that's the disclaimer. Should we end with the disclaimer that accessibility is like a moving target? We are always learning more things. And we just ask you to take this information and apply it to your project to the best of your ability, our ability. That's really all we can ask. And just keep learning. We have to promise that we will keep learning. This is one of those tools.
At one point, I was sitting in a bathroom texting Julie images of being like, no, this is not realistic based on of what's out there. So where can we better place these faucets and the grab bars, etc., for an accessible bathtub? It's incredible, the research that we put together and the things we did in order to come up with those optimal measurements. And we're so excited to have that put out to you. And yes, it's a disclaimer. Like Julie said, we hope that this is an ever evolving thing. I don't think accessible bathrooms are ever going to be that one-stop shop where you do all the same things and you copy and paste every time. That's not it. We're trying to make things better for the future. So once we learn more and we get more knowledge or new best practices come out, we're going to adapt to that and make sure that you guys have that information. So we're really excited just to kick this off and make sure that the resource is out there for you to use.
That old school was, I'm thinking old school because when Samantha said she was in the bathtub, she actually was using a measuring tape.
I know. My laser one doesn't work in the tub. But
so fun. So you guys need to know how to find us, how to find the book. The book is at buildingbetterbathrooms.ca. Samantha, you're going to find Samantha at Abe Factors. Samantha, do you want to give your website?
Yeah, so reach out to us. We're technical accessibility specialists, consultants at www.abefactors.com, accessible built environment factors.
Awesome. And Jane out in Vancouver, Kuno Architecture.
Yeah, my website is just www.kunoarchitecture.com, and I do architecture projects as well as accessibility consulting, and maybe if anyone needs some drawings, perhaps. Do all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely. And you can find me at I'm Sawchuk Accessible Solutions, and you can find me at juliesawchuk.ca. And I just want to bring everybody that is still here back in just to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Really, having everybody as part of this project has been amazing, and we could not have done it without all of you. Let's get started. Thanks everyone for being here today. I look forward to reading the comments that came from this video, and please stay tuned. Get connected with us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.